Hello everyone. Happy day. It's Thursday and I'm so excited to be here today on Love Chat with the Love Twins, where we're going to be talking about what not to do on a date. Super important. So as we get started, let me go ahead and make sure that we are on. Can't always tell from my phone. So a lot of times we hear about what to do, what not to do, and there's a lot of conflicting and confusing information about what a first date should look like. So first of all, it's very normal and natural to be nervous, to be excited. I was sharing with some of our new clients today that one of our existing previous clients, her daughter told her one day, she was telling her daughter that she was nervous and she was feeling excited, and her daughter said, "Oh, mommy, you're just nerve-sighted." And she said, "Nerve-sighted? What is that?" She goes, "Oh, that's when you're nervous and excited." She said, "Where did you learn that?" And she said, "My Little Pony." So the wise words of those very wise My Little Ponies is being nerve-sighted. So it's very natural to feel both nervous and excited. Look, it's something, you want it to be something that you're excited about. You want it to be something that you're looking forward to, because you certainly don't want dating to be something that you're dreading, that you're not wanting to do. And that's why sometimes you'll choose the comfy pajamas and sitting on the couch to not go out on a date. So it should be something that you are excited about. And so what do you do with those nerves, right? So maybe there's been a little bit of time that you've been planning. Hopefully you've had conversations with him on the phone. This is something that Michelle and I highly recommend, that you're not just jumping from matching on the app if you're doing online dating, or just meeting to straight into a date, because you do want to have a conversation with the person. You want to see what they're like, what they're interested in. Also, he gets a lot of information from you on those first conversations, the things that you like, that you enjoy, so that he can plan a good date. When somebody doesn't know you, it's not always a great idea to have them surprise you since they don't know what you like and what you don't like. Even in the case of a dinner, like what you're allergic to, where he should take you, where he shouldn't. So you want to have a little bit of pre-time, a little bit of an opportunity to talk and get to know each other. And Michelle and I hear all the time where women say, "Oh my gosh, but then what if we don't have anything to talk about on the date?" And I always say, if this is somebody that you're going to spend the next 20, 40, 50, 70 years with, you're going to need to have more than one thing to talk about. So trust that as you continue getting to know each other, the topics will unfold naturally. But yeah, we do recommend speaking before. It also gives you some information. You kind of see what the flow is like, how the conversation flows back and forth, which is good, because on the phone people tend to be a little bit less nervous than when they're in front of each other. So let's fast forward to now you're on the date. What are some things that you do not want to do? Well, the first thing that we recommend that you not do, and cannot emphasize this enough, is that you don't interrogate, right? Nobody wants to be sitting there feeling like they're in front of a human resources person, finding out all of their professional information. What do you do? How much do you make? What are your plans for that company? Do you see yourself growing within? Like, nobody wants to be sitting having that kind of conversation on their first date. So you don't want to interrogate. You also don't want to be a police officer where you're trying to find out everything that they've done or haven't done in the past, including past relationships. And now, look, we understand that there's a curiosity about, have you been married? How many times have you been married? Why did each and every one of the relationships that have failed in the past failed? And that's just your brain trying to look for certainty, because when you are meeting somebody for the first time, there's not a whole lot of certainty, and there's not a whole lot of guarantees that this is even going to go anywhere. Okay? So the first thing is that you do not want to sit there on the date, "Hey Diane," and ask an endless number of questions. Now, I said both things, right? Whether it's their professional, the stuff that you're learning about them, that you're curious about professionally, or the stuff that you're curious about them, especially past dates. Because the last thing that you want to be talking about on a date, which is the potential start of a new romance, you don't want to spend all that time talking about your ex or his, or your ex and his, right? That's bringing, first of all, it's bringing a whole bunch of past energy. It's like bringing the past into your present and having your exes there on the date with you. And so it's not what we would recommend. Definitely ask about, you can ask questions. You don't want to sit there mute. But you want to ask questions about things that you're interested in, about personality, character, likes, interests, goals, right? But don't make it all work either. And the reason that I add that in about the, not being the human resources officer is that many times, because so many of us are working in our jobs, working in our businesses, we are, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're very, very passionate about your job, you could talk about it all day long. But that's not what the purpose of a first date is. So you can definitely continue getting to learn on each other, but learn about each other. But on the first date, make it light, make it fun, make it easy, make it breezy. Make sure that you're having conversations that you want to have. So what are some of the topics that I wouldn't get into? Politics, especially if it's a trigger point for you. And religion, I think it's okay to ask a person their denomination, but you don't want to get into religious or political discussions on the first date. Because again, you want it to be something that's fun, enjoyable, and relaxing. And if there are trigger points, you may end up arguing. You certainly don't. And believe me, we have had clients who have told us about the really difficult dates that started with one-upping each other or arguing with each other, contradicting each other. It's just not first date material. Now, are those things that you want to learn about as you go on? Sure. And look, people with very different political and religious beliefs make it work every day. But the first date is really about having a good time, enjoying getting to know each other. So no interrogation is number one. The second thing that you want to avoid is asking too many questions. I'm sorry, not asking too many questions, talking too much, over talking. Michelle, Arnie, Rick, and I sometimes go out together on double dates. And we'll sit there and we'll date watch. And we can all, with like such precision, tell when someone is on a first date. And here's how. The woman does not stop talking. The woman doesn't stop talking. There's a lot of nervous chatter. Sometimes it's the man. The other day we were at lunch and we could hear, I was listening to the conversation and I said to my husband, I kept hearing these two guys talking, and it was like, just from the, I don't want to, just in case they're watching, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. They were talking pretty loud. They were in the booth behind my husband, and just the way that the guys were talking, I said to my husband, is there a girl sitting at that table? And when he got up to go get some food, he's like, yeah. And so there was just a lot of over talking. But the reason why you don't want to over talk is a lot of times, and there's a tendency to do that. Remember, you're nervous, you're excited. You've maybe been looking forward to this for a long time. Maybe you're really attracted to the person. So all of a sudden, like, there's all this nervous energy, bubbling up inside of you. And now you're like talking and not just having a conversation, but over talking. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what over talking can sound like, but or what some of the things is. One of them is that you don't allow there to be any pauses, like any quiet in the conversation. And it's okay. I know sometimes it can feel awkward if you're both just sitting there. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. We certainly don't want that either. But allow there to be pauses, pause to sip your coffee or your water, pause to have your meal. Don't feel like you have to fill in every single second with talking. We were at the New Love in the New Year's event this past weekend. We talked a little bit about how sometimes it feels like, or sometimes when women are on dates, it's almost like they're performing. So there's all this nervous energy, and you're talking, you're trying to impress, and you're being amazing, and you're saying everything that you think he may want to hear you say, and then you wonder why you get home after 2 hours and you are completely exhausted. And it's because you haven't stopped talking. So you want to pause and listen. When you're talking, you're usually not listening. And so listen to what he's saying, listen to what he's sharing. Notice if there's this ebb and flow, like a giving and receiving in the conversation. Try not to dominate the conversation, and slow down. Like, because you're nervous, you may be talking really fast or be coming across as really hyper and really like frenetic, and it's not that attractive, right, to have somebody kind of spazzing out in front of you. So take some deep breaths. Doesn't have to be obvious. You can just I'm going to take a deep breath now that you probably won't be able to see, but pretend for a second that I'm in a conversation sitting across the table from you, and and then I can exhale as I smile and I listen. And so those slow breaths will help you manage your breathing. It will also slow your heart rate down, and it'll just create a more peaceful way of being in the conversation. So no interrogating. That was the first don't. The second one was don't over talk. Oh, here's the other thing I wanted to say about over talking. Over talking also includes oversharing. So some people are divulging, revealing way too much about themselves on a first date. So you want to, it's not that you're creating secrets or you're being fake. You want to be totally authentic, but there are certain things that only people who you know and trust really need to know. There are some things in your life that are on a need to know basis only. And not every single guy that you go out with needs to know the issues you're having with your boss, or the last fight you had with your sister, or how your ex-boyfriend doesn't leave you alone, or how your ex-husband is causing whatever he's causing. So over talking is one thing. That means that you're talking consistently and not allowing for the other person to talk, or for there to just be pauses in the conversation, but also oversharing. This is a stranger. When you're on a date, it doesn't matter if you've had 3, 4, 5 conversations and they were each 4 hours. This is somebody that you don't know. You haven't had the time to get to know them yet. So take your time to get to know them, and certainly share about yourself, but also be conscious, be aware of what it is that you're sharing with somebody who you don't really know, and you don't know how information will be used. And I don't want you to be suspicious. That's not what I'm saying. I just want you to be wise. So we always say you go on a date with an open mind, open eyes, and open heart. And so you just want to be aware as you're on the date. And then the third point is one that we get asked. Wow, Michelle and I get asked this. Probably it's one of the most common questions that we get asked about dating, which is, should I offer to pay half of the check? And our answer is super simple. No. Don't reach for the check. Don't pretend to reach for the check. Don't pretend to reach for your purse, or you're looking in your purse for your cash or your wallet. Don't. Not because you're entitled to it, not because you're trying to be, a diva and you expect the man to do everything for you. That is not what we're talking about. Okay? What we're talking about is when you've been invited to go on a date. I'm trying to manage something over here that I want to do. When you're on a date and somebody has invited you to go on the date, you can simply receive the information, and you can also receive that attention, the affection, it really is very kind of the man to offer to invite you, and very kind of him to pay for the date. And so what you can be is grateful, and definitely let him know. And don't be, I mean, it doesn't have to be like, you know, overindulgence, but just thank you for dinner. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for a great conversation. Thank you for, you know, picking this show at the theater to go watch. Let him know that you enjoyed it, that you appreciate it, that you noticed the big things, the little things, and everything in between that he did on the date. So you don't have to reach for the check to show that you are appreciative. You can express your gratitude with your words and also your way of being. You can allow yourself, like we say, inform your face that you're having a great time on the date. You can tell him several times, you know, especially if it's like there's different parts to the date. But certainly let him know that you are thankful. You don't want to come across, or be, whether you're coming across or you're silently being it, you don't want to come across as entitled, or as if you expect anything from him. It's just receiving with grace and gratitude, allowing yourself to enjoy the conversation, the meal, whatever the activity is that you're doing together. So those are the 3 things that you don't want to do on a date. You don't want to interrogate on a date. You don't want to overtalk / overshare. And you certainly don't want to reach for the check. It really is a sign of respect when you receive what somebody else is offering you. Okay? And, you know, if at any point the man needs your help paying the check, he'll probably let you know. If not, he'll get on the phone and he'll call somebody. Like, really trust that he's capable of figuring this stuff out. Okay? Especially since he had the courage to ask a beautiful woman like you out on a date. All right? So those are our 3 tips for today from your love twins. And look, we would really love to have your questions coming at us. So please feel free to either pop some questions here. You can private message us on our Facebook page. Or you can go to Heart's Desire. I'm going to see if I can, let me see it. Every time I type, I feel weird because I'm like over here. My computer's over here. But you can go to Heart's Desire. Sorry for the interruption. Heart's Desire, INTL.com. And that way you can make sure that you can, there's a little box that pops up. One of the options is to schedule a call with us, and the other one is to just give us your information. You can give us your information and ask us your question. We promise we'll answer it on one of the love chats with the love twins. We also can answer it in our blog. Many times we answer some of the most asked questions in our blog, so that you also can go to Heart's Desire, INTL.com, and read what you can do for both dating and relationships. I know we've been focusing a lot on dating. Those of you ladies who are in relationships, and I've seen some of you pop on today, know that we will be also covering relationship topics. Right now, we are really focused on helping the single ladies have new love in the new year. So that's what we're focused on. Hey, Ariana. So I'm wrapping up for now. I've got a call with a wonderful new client that I cannot wait to get on, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Friday Q&A. That's why we need your questions. Tomorrow's the day we will answer your questions live. All right? So see you tomorrow, and until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Bye for now. Mwah.